welcome everybody to day one of our 30-day beginner yoga challenge. I'm so happy you're here with me today. To get started, again, you don't need a fancy yoga mat. You can just put a towel out on the ground or on your carpet, wherever you feel most comfortable. And then I would recommend grabbing a blanket. It doesn't need to be a yoga blanket. It can just be your regular old blanket off the couch or bed, folded up, as long as it's a little bit small, not too puffy. And then also a pillow. It could be any pillow. This one is just a regular old couch pillow, so it doesn't need to be fancy either. So when you have all your materials, go ahead and meet me on your mat or towel, and we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to your new space. Again, making sure that you're comfy, you're in something comfortable like pajamas or just something loose that you can kind of move freely in. We're going to start off in easy pose. So this is easy pose, also called Sukhasana. And easy pose isn't all that easy sometimes. So I'm going to be here to modify it for you. As you can see, I'm sitting on a pillow. So if you'd like to grab a pillow or something to prop you up a little bit, that's always great. And then we're going to take our blanket and we're going to unroll it here so it's lengthwise. So, I don't know, hot dog style. And then we're just going to roll it up in a nice little cylinder here. And we're going to take this and we're going to put it underneath our knees but on top of our feet and wrap it around. You can even wrap it back if you need it to lift up a little bit higher, and just pull it around to the side. So it relieves a little bit of pressure, especially sometimes if our hips are really tight. You can always bring that blanket right underneath there to support your knees so it doesn't feel like you're all crunched up hanging out in space up here. So the best we can, we'll allow our knees to relax and our hips to relax. We're going to go ahead and sit up nice and tall. And we're going to begin by practicing finding our center. So that doesn't mean like oming or meditating. It just actually means finding our center point. So we'll begin by taking our hands to the tops of our knees. You can keep your eyes open or closed here. If you're not comfortable with keeping your eyes closed, go ahead, maybe just gaze down at the floor, keeping your eyes partially open, finding a focal point for you to gaze on. So when you're ready, we're not going to take any crazy breath work right now. We're just going to do simple inhales and exhales naturally. It can be in and out through your mouth, in and out through your nose, or both. And we'll begin by gently rocking back and then gently rocking forward. And just trying to feel where our sit bones are on the mat. So I also call them our rooting bones. And just getting a feel for where we are in this seated position. Once you've rocked forward and back a few times, you can begin to incorporate this side to side movement. And rocking from side to side, front to back. And then what we're going to try to do here is find our center point. So sometimes when we sit down, we like to lean super far forward and kind of curl our spine as if we're looking at our cell phone. Or sometimes we sit super far back. So we want to find that point where our shoulders are right over our hips and our spine is lengthening. So the top of our head or the crown of our head is reaching high towards the ceiling. So maybe with every motion forward and back, you try to lift up your spine or the top of your head towards the ceiling a little bit more. And lift your chest so it shines forward. We're not crunching in here, we're opening up that chest. You also can put a little pressure in your hands. When you think you've found your center, we'll pause here. We'll begin to exhale wherever we're at in our breath cycle. I know it's a little weird the first time when you do this ha, but we'll just have to slowly get used to it. And we'll take a deep inhale through our nose. Filling up, you probably brought your shoulders to your ears, so when you're ready, exhale, drop them down as you sink into your mat. Again, just like that, inhaling, deep inhale through your nose. Exhale and drop your shoulders. One more time, just like that. Inhale, deep inhale, spine is lengthening towards the ceiling. Maybe you take one more sip at the top. Exhale, release it out, drop your shoulders. Beautiful. And then return to that normal breath. Whether it's breathing in and out through your nose or through your mouth or both. Staying in that center point here. Then we'll take one hand to our heart space and one hand to our belly. And just notice your breath. Taking a moment to observe it. And just note where you feel it. We really take this time to acknowledge our breath throughout our day, so it's nice to kind of feel where we breathe and feel our body working and that breath flowing through us. So some of you may feel it in your chest, some of you may feel it in your ribs, some of you may feel it in your belly. We're not trying to fix it or change it in any way, but just feel it. Again, eyes can be open or closed or gazing down at the floor. We'll gently release our hands. Again, sitting up nice and tall. We'll inhale, arms reach up overhead. Flutter your eyes open if they're closed, and we can gaze towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. We'll take this moment to set an intention, and that doesn't mean that you have to, make a promise to yourself or anything crazy for the rest of this challenge, but just maybe today we'll focus on thanks. So thanks and thanking yourself for starting today and taking some time to come onto the mat and try something new. So when you're ready, next inhale, arms will reach up overhead. Exhale, we'll gently twist to the right. So our right hand is coming right behind us and our left hand is coming to the top of our knee, and we're just gently gazing over to the right side of the room. Again, still over that center point. We'll inhale, top of our head reaches towards the ceiling, and then exhale, gently twist a little bit deeper, but we're not cranking here. Our gaze is just still over to the right side of the room. We're not trying to look behind us. Still breathing. Inhale, arms come back through center. Exhale, twist to the right hand on top of your left knee. Then your left hand is coming behind you. We'll inhale, top of your head reaches towards your ceiling. Exhale, gently twist and gaze to the left. Again, we're not trying to crank around and look at the back wall behind us. We're just gently gazing to the left side of the room. Again, still focusing and breathing here. We're not holding our breath at all. We'll inhale again, lifting your head towards the ceiling. Exhale, twist. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Then exhale, hands come down by our sides here, and our fingertips, maybe they graze our mat. Then inhale, chest through center. Exhale, bring those shoulders back over your hips. We'll bring our hands out in front of us, and we'll just begin to open them wide and just gently turn our arms. Again, feeling this motion in our body, taking the time to see how it feels. Maybe we begin to open and close our fingers, making some fists. Can roll your wrists out here, giving them a little bit of love, and then relax your shoulders down if you feel like they're coming up towards your ears. We'll bring our hands back through center, and then we'll drop them down. So our fingertips are facing towards the floor. My friend likes to call these Frankenstein hands, and I truly love that. So we're just trying to pull those fingers down, and we feel this nice stretch down the backside of our hand and in our wrist. And then we can gently lift our hands back onto the horizon. Exhale, bring them down. Again, dropping your shoulders away from your ears. Inhale, hands come onto the horizon. Exhale, drop them down. And you can begin to roll your wrists out. Then we'll take this into the shoulders. You're probably feeling a little bit achy right now. So we'll inhale, bring them to your ears. Exhale, roll them back and down your back. You can get your hands into this. Inhale as they reach up to your ears. Exhale, roll them back and down your back. You can even make that H-A-ha sound as you exhale. But whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't have to make that noise if you don't want to, if it doesn't feel comfortable. We'll switch directions. So inhale, shoulders to your ears. Exhale, roll them forward. And then you just start flowing with your own breath. So if you're going faster or slower than me at any point, that's totally fine as long as it feels good to you. One last round. Beautiful. We'll gently come back through center. Hands come to the tops of our knees. And then again, trying to find that center point. Shoulders right over hips. Sitting up nice and tall here. We'll take this into neck circles. So if neck circles never feel good on your neck or you don't feel comfortable doing them, you can always drop your chin to your chest. Take your right ear to your right shoulder. Glide that chin across your chest and then take your left ear to your left shoulder. That is an option here. Or you can begin to take it into a full neck circle very gently and very slow. Eyes can be open or closed here, whatever feels best. If you haven't already, switch directions. And if you just have your chin to your chest and you're rocking from left to right, you can hold it in one position if it feels good. So maybe just holding your right ear to your right shoulder for a few breaths and then gently gliding it across left ear to left shoulder. A few more rounds here, wherever you are, again, going very slowly. Next inhale, we'll all come back through center, sitting up nice and tall. Grounding down just one more time, bringing those shoulders over your hips. We'll flutter our eyes open if they were closed. We're going to remove this blanket. And we'll kick our legs out in front of us. And we'll give them a little wiggle and tap them on the floor. And we're going to take this blanket, we're going to fold it in half here. And we're going to sweep our legs to either side, and we're going to move this pillow out of the way and bring this folded blanket right into the center of our mat. So we're coming into a tabletop position. So we'll bring our knees on top of this blanket. You can even have that pillow there if you want. I just prefer a blanket. So our knees are going to be right underneath our hips here, and our wrists are going to be right underneath our shoulders. So our bones are all stacked, so we're not really hanging out in this like muscle space. We're working a lot harder when our joints aren't stacked because we are hanging out in those muscles. So we'll find our comfort zone here. So sometimes our wrists are really, really sensitive. So if this almost like 90-degree angle on your wrist really hurts, you can always come up onto your fists here. So your wrist is straight. But if your wrists and palms are flat, our fingertips are gonna spread out nice and wide. And then we're gonna press our palms into the earth, activating our shoulders here. So we're lifting up out of our shoulders. So sometimes we're down here, but if I press firmly and lift my chest up, pressing through my hands, shoulders are activated. You can see there's a lot more going on here than just slouching down. So we'll just gently come back and forth through that. See how it feels in your body to press firmly through your hands and lift that chest up. Then maybe drop it down a little bit, then pick it up. When you've felt that a few times, we'll come back to that activated shoulder space. You can keep your toes tucked here too if you'd like, or you can keep the tops of your feet on the mat. We're going to take this into a few cat-cows. So we'll inhale and expand our belly, sending our breath down into our belly. We'll gently gaze forward, maybe just slightly up, and then our hips are going to be lifting towards the sky. So we have this cow body shape. Exhale, we'll drop our head down, chin tucks to our chest, and our tailbone tucks under, and our belly button is pulling towards our spine for our cat pose. And inhaling, cow, and then exhaling will bring you to cat. And in our cat pose, again, we're pressing firmly through our palms or our fists here, activating those shoulders and broadening across our shoulders. So again, just flowing with your breath, feeling where your comfort zone is, how the pose feels. And if this feels good here, you can begin to incorporate maybe some organic movement. Maybe you come back through center and then you begin to shift your hips from side to side. You can gaze back maybe at your toes here. You can press back towards your heels. Maybe you roll forward, bending your elbows as you glide forward. Again, just exploring with these different shapes and different feelings. Maybe it's for you, maybe it isn't. But you'll never know until you try it. You can always come back to cat-cow. And eyes can be open or closed, flowing at your own pace. Sometimes with our cat-cows, we'll get stuck in just the head motion of it. So we really want to make sure that our spine is flowing along. We're tucking that tailbone under, pulling our belly button towards our spine, and our head isn't just moving up and down. One more round of breath here. Any organic movement you'd like to take. We'll gently come back through center to that tabletop position, again pressing firmly through our fists or palms. Then we're going to take our big toes to touch and then our knees out as wide, almost as wide as our mat here or our towel width. And then we're going to press back into a child's pose. So our hips are sitting back towards our heels and our hands are reaching long. This is where that pillow can come in too. Again, you can bring it right underneath your chest for a supported child's pose. You don't have to put your face in it. You can take your face to the left or right, stretching out again that neck. And we'll make this an active child's pose. So our fingertips are spread wide here, and we're pressing firmly into our palms so our hips are sitting back a little bit towards our heels. Breathing here. Again, just your normal breath. So sometimes child pose gets uncomfortable. If you don't like this knees out wide version, you can always bring your knees in to hip width distance or touching and then press back here. Same thing. If you don't like your arms out long, you can always bring them down by your side. Palms face up. Fingertips are pointing towards the back of your mat. If you're on your left or right cheek, switch directions just so you can stretch out that other side of your neck. And then again, choosing whatever child's pose feels best in your body. Have your knees together, your arms back behind you. Still breathing here. We'll inhale, come back through center. We'll press firmly through our palms as we lift and hinge ourselves back up to a tabletop position. If those knees are out wide, we'll bring them right underneath our hips here. We'll remove our pillow just for a short while. And we're going to take this into a nice little calf stretch real quick. So we're going to kick this right leg back behind us, and then we're going to tuck our toes. So our toes are facing towards us, and our toes can be tucked on this left foot as well. So we'll take an inhale, maybe we shift forward a bit, and then exhale, we'll shift our weight back towards this right foot, feeling a nice long stretch down the back side of our leg. Keeping a slight bend in our knee here maybe, just so we're not hyperextending backwards. And then again, we're pressing firmly through these shoulders, lifting ourselves out of them so we're not getting this slouch up here. So again, if you want to dip down and then press up just to see where you're at in space, you can go ahead and test out your shoulders here. And still breathing. And if you need a little bit more of a stretch, you can maybe pick up this left knee off the mat or towel or blanket, just if you need a deeper one. I'm pretty good today, so I'm going to keep that left knee down on the mat. When you're ready to release, we'll inhale, shift our weight forward. Then exhale, bring that right knee right back underneath our hip. We'll tap out the tops of our feet here just a little bit, just to stretch them out. And then I'm gonna tuck my right toes on this side, and then we're gonna kick this left leg out behind us, tucking those left toes. Again, slight bend in our knee here so we're not hyperextending. Inhale, we'll gently glide forward, and then exhale, we'll press back. Heel is reaching towards the floor behind us as you feel that nice long hamstring stretch. Then again, if you want to move reposition your hands or come up onto your fists here, you can as well. Again, pulling up out of that shoulder slouch. And then maybe just readjusting your weight, finding that center point in this position as well. So sometimes we like to dump all of our weight into one side of our body. So we want to gently bring that weight back through center and press firmly into that left heel, stretching our hamstring. Continuing with your breath. When you're ready to release, we'll inhale, shift that weight forward. Exhale, bring that left knee right underneath our hip. You can gently rock your hips from side to side here. Then we'll gently come back, and we're just going to find our way to a seated position again. So we'll rock our hips to either side and then sweep our legs out in front of us. Doesn't have to be a fancy transition. Now I'm going to move my blanket just for a moment. Then I'm going to come back to this pillow. I'm going to sit up on my pillow. I'm going to take my feet out nice and wide here. We're not trying to reach for our toes or anything today, but just kind of get a little mobility in our hips going, maybe getting a nice little groin stretch here, but nothing crazy. So we're just going to gently begin to shift from side to side. You can have your hands glide down from either side. You can match your breath with your movement, or you can just simply feel this stretch or this pose. If you would like to flow with your breath, we'll exhale to either side. Inhale brings you through center. Exhale sits you to the left or right. Again, nothing crazy here. We're not trying to reach or touch our toes, but just shift from side to side. We'll have our toes flex back towards our face. So it's activating our legs. We're pressing out through our heels here. If you want to keep your hands stationary, you can. Fingertips inward, palms are resting on your thighs. If you want to sit in one direction and stay here, you can. Inhale through center, maybe sit on the other side. Again, you don't have to be low. Your head doesn't have to be touching your knee. Maybe inhale back through center and begin to gently shift from side to side again. Just a few more rounds here. Again, eyes can be opened or closed. You can pause. Or you can flow. When you're ready, we'll all meet back at center on an inhale. And then we'll begin to point and flex our toes here. Again, before we do that, actually, let's come back through our midpoint. So maybe we were leaning forward a lot here. So let's bring those shoulders right over our hips and then sit up nice and tall. Again, pointing and flexing our toes. Maybe we open and we close them. Maybe we take them in circles. Switch directions if you can. It's really weird. I can only go one way and not really the other. It's kind of funny. All right. We'll bring our legs back together here. Let's shift this way. And we'll bend our knees, bringing the soles of our feet to our mat, towel, or floor. And we'll just rock our hips from side to side, rock our knees from side to side. You can still be sitting on that pillow here. And we'll gently come back through center. If you are sitting on that pillow, we'll jump off of it, take it to the side. We'll take our hands out in front of us and we'll exhale, slowly lower all the way down to the mat. So we're coming into our first Shavasana. So sometimes laying on our back can be really, really uncomfortable. So a way I like to counter this, especially in my lower back, I like to take my feet out as wide as my mat or towel, or if you're just on the floor, just take them out as wider than your hips, and then knock your knees together on the inside. Your toes can slightly turn in if that's okay, and that will relieve a little bit of the pressure on your low back here. If that doesn't feel good enough, or you want something different, you want your legs extended on the floor, you can take your blanket here, roll it up. So again, it's like a cylinder, maybe a bigger one this time. And stick it right underneath your knees. And then again, finding your way onto your back very gently. This will also relieve any pressure in your low back. Now in our Shavasana, I like to tell my students to make it their own. Every day we are so consumed by and people telling us to take up as little space as possible. So in our Shavasana, I really encourage you to take up as much space as possible and expand, allowing yourself some freedom here. So you can take this into a big star pose. Hands can come up above your head. Feet are falling open. We're here away from our toes to the crown of our head. We're gently letting those feet fall open and rest. Maybe our knees are gently knocking together, resting on our blanket here. Our hips are being held up by the earth as our back is supported. You can gently feel the rise and fall of your belly. Shoulders are melting into the floor. Arms are resting as our fingertips are gently curling in. We'll release any tension in our jaw and pull our tongue away from the roof of our mouth. Maybe our mouth is even slightly open as we surrender, releasing any tension between our eyebrows. Eyes are gently closing. Coming back to that feeling of noticing your breath and observing it as it flows in and out through your nostrils. When you're ready, begin to wiggle your toes or your fingers. Always option to stay here if you'd like to stay in Shavasana. And when you feel comfortable, gently roll into your favorite side, cradling your head and your arm. Eyes can remain closed if you'd like. And then again, at your own pace, gently press yourself up, and we'll meet back in a seated position in Sukhasana. You can be sitting on a pillow or your blanket here. Meeting in our midpoint, shoulders right over our hips. Top of our head is reaching towards the ceiling. We'll inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, hands come through heart center. We can gently gaze at our fingertips or keep our eyes closed. And returning to our thanks today, thanking ourselves for starting something new, thanking ourselves for having the courage to start something new, and thanking ourselves for getting in a little bit of movement. Thank you guys so much for joining me on day 1. It was truly an honor. I can't wait to see you tomorrow for day 2. Namaste.